Boop.
Welcome back, everybody, to Paranormal The New Normal presents Paranormal Primetime. It's good to be back. I know we missed a couple weeks. We each had shit going on, and life just got a little hectic. But we're back now, and it's just great to be back again. I'm really,
Have you
just really,
you seen the
what was
beef
that?
with Liver King and Joe Rogan?
No, I can't say I have.
That's pretty interesting. Everybody should check that out. Liver
Huh.
King went crazy.
Interesting. So, folks, we are we got two episodes. I can't promise they're both good episodes, but we'll get to that in a minute. Uh, but first things first, I believe Malachi got a new puppy.
Yeah, puppy's inside right now. Show her when you're talking. I'll bring the phone in.
Cool.
She's been fishing with me and been on the kayak twice. Good
Oh,
little
nice.
puppy. Heck yeah, I got some pictures on Facebook. Her fishing yesterday and the day before. So.
Well, it's your episode first, I believe, so I'll let you jump into your episode, which.
Okay, so mine, season 2, episode 15, Tall Tales, and this one was structured a little differently, you could say. It was
Oh, God, yeah.
written by John Shiban and directed by Bradford May. So the whole episode starts off where there's this girl standing there, a professor walks by, and they get to talking. She says he's in his class, wants to go up to the room. They go to the office, and she admits that she's not one of his students. So, some banter back and forth. She said she should go, and the cocky professor's still trying to get into her pants. And then they start kissing, and she turns into like some zombie, half dead she hag lady. And so then we cut to the janitor leaving the room, and we see the professor fly out of the window. So then
Yeah,
we,
the janitor, for those who know, you know.
you'll know. So then we cut to Sam and Dean. They're researching and fighting with each other, right? So Dean's eating on Sam's bed. He's blasting the music. Sam asks if he could turn it down, and he turns it up. And Sam doesn't have his computer. We don't know why Sam doesn't have his computer right now, but we also know that the Impala is screwed up as well. So then Bobby knocks on the door. Bobby's here, and they're not sure Bobby is going to believe this case. So this case comes in 3 parts, and this gets into story recap time. So we're starting off with Sam's side of the story. Sam's uh, Sam's got this girl telling him about the professor's office, how it was haunted, room 669, and shit had happened there before. And then in the professor's building, and then Dean's getting wasted with this slut, just totally drunk, not doing what he's supposed to be doing. And Dean says, "Whoa, hold up, that's not how this happened." And then we find out that Starla, the girl Dean was with, is actually a classy anthropology student. And as Dean is very professionally, like dressed in a suit, trying to get information out of the anthropology student, uh, she can't keep her hands off of him. And then Sam comes as Dean's getting this precious information, and Sam just starts talking like the adults from Snoopy. So it's just wah 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 wah. And then they do manage to find out that the janitor has been there for 6 years. So they pay attention to that. They're going to go question the janitor later. And when we get to the janitor, we start off with Sam's side of the story, where Dean is just shoving cookies in his face as they're interviewing the janitor. His cheeks are like fully squirreled out on both sides, just piling cookies in his mouth. And that's when the janitor goes on to say that the professor gets more ass than a toilet seat. And there is no room 669. There's only 4 floors, so that was all bullshit. So we cut back to them doing research back at the hotel room, and we find out that Dean got Sam's computer frozen on bustyasianbeauties.com. And as Sam is confronting Dean about this, Dean just sort of walks off.
Which
Um, I
you could tell that he's a fucking idiot because it's the it's the mid 2000s at this point, and
think it's
everybody
2007. Yeah.
yeah, everybody knows that those sites are just like full of viruses. You need to go to
Yeah.
Pornhub where it's free. But and what's going on, Harley? And oh, apparently Harley finally got to season 2. She started watching because of us. So
Okay. Is she at these episodes yet?
I don't know. Maybe are you Harley?
Okay, so after Dean freezes the computer, we go to part two. So this one's even worse than the professor getting pushed off of the building by a ghost or hag or whatever. And they're telling Bobby this one's even weird for them. So I don't know who's telling the story at this point, but we got the jock walking home alone through the corridor or whatever, and all of a sudden a UFO abducts him, and then he is probed again and again and again and again and again and again and then one more time. But to add insult to injury, the little gray makes him slow dance in the UFO with him after he gets probed. And, Bobby asks, well, he's got to be exaggerating. And Sam and Dean at the same time say he's not exaggerating. So they go down to inspect, and there's a fucking UFO mark right there in the corridor of the where the guy said he got abducted. And now we're to Dean's side of the story, where they're questioning the dude's roommate, Curtis. And at this, Sam's just doing all sorts of pansy shit, hugging the roommate and saying it's okay and you're so brave. It got pretty ridiculous. But Curtis goes on to say that the dude that got abducted was the pledge master. So now they know that both of these victims were dicks, right? One of them was pledging all these new pledges and making them do shit they didn't want to do, and the other professor is a pervert who's taking advantage of all these young girls. And then we switch to Sam and Dean fighting over the laptop, where Sam brings up the fact of what if I mess with the Impala, and Dean says absolutely not. But now we're going to part three, flashback time, where we got an animal researcher walking home, and he sees this like expensive watch in a storm drain. So he reaches his arm in there to get it, and you just see his arm get sucked in, and this motherfucker gets eaten by something. And cut to Sam and Dean checking the mortuary, and there's an arm and a leg left in the little fucking bag. And that's when it gets to him that all three of these incidents took place near Crawford Hall. So that was the corridor. And Sam finds a fucking belly scale on the animal researcher's body, indicating that it was a fucking alligator in the sewers. So now they got a ghost possession, abduction, and a fucking alligator in the sewer. Three totally different fucking things going on in one Crawford Hall area. So they go down to search the sewer for this giant alligator. And when Dean gets up out of the sewer, he finds the Impala with all the fucking tires flattened, and Sam's money clip is laying next to the Impala. So Sam's blaming, or Dean's blaming Sam, and that's when Bobby said that they have a trickster on their hands. And trickster would be like Loki. He goes through a whole list of these demigods, basically.
Well, he mentions Loki and Anansi. He doesn't really like going to any other religions, but he
Yeah,
says Loki from Norse mythology and Anansi from African mythology.
yeah. So now, now they're on the right track, right? So we cut to the trickster at his own house by himself, and he's reading the National Enquirer, and that's when you find out this is where he's getting all these uh, alligators in the sewer and alien abduction things that he's playing on all these people. And he's eating cake. He's got a couple women there and a dog. And then what do we got here? This is where I stopped reading my notes. So Sam and Dean go to talk to him again. They're thinking this guy is the trickster. And then Sam does the old, oh shit, I forgot something in my locker. I'll meet up with you guys later. And that's when he breaks into the lockers and finds the weekly world news that the trickster was reading. And now they know for sure it was the janitor. So then we cut to Sam and Dean walking away, and they have a fight, and the trickster's watching them fight over what they should do in this case. And Dean ends up tracking the trickster while Sam goes to his house. So Dean gets tired of waiting, and he wants to go in and just fight the trickster. This is what we see. And the two ladies from the trickster's house are waiting on a big bed in the middle of the auditorium for Dean. And the janitor's saying, "This is a peace offering. You have your fun. I'll get out of here, and we don't ever have to see each other again. These people got what they deserved," is what he said. And treat yourself, blah blah blah. Dean says, "I dig your style, slow dancing alien," and the janitor uh, shouldn't have come. I mean, they end up getting to the fight. Dean's gonna kill the trickster, and the trickster says, "You shouldn't have come alone." And that's when they find out that Sam and Dean didn't really have a fight, and Bobby and Sam show up too. So Sam and Bobby are getting their ass kicked by like Texas Chainsaw Massacre man, while Dean is getting his ass kicked by the two slutty girls. And then they stab the trickster. They say sorry to each other. I mean, at the end, had like kind of a gay meter or two. Didn't hit the full on gay at the end there. But then we see that the janitor's still alive, and we'll probably see him again.
Wink, wink. And
Wink, wink.
and yeah, it's funny because Sam's laptop getting frozen on bustyasianbeauties.com. If you go to that website, apparently it links directly to the Warner Brothers website.
Does it really?
Yeah, I guess. And it also it's the beginning of a recurring joke because Busty Asian Beauties becomes interest of Dean's in future episodes, according to Sam. But
Yeah, I think even into like later episodes, right?
yeah, and it's also we have a first. It's the first mention of aliens in the show. Not the last, but the first.
Not a whole hell of a lot of aliens later on,
No,
though.
they. It always kind of pissed me off that they never wanted to ask anybody else in the show about that from any other origins about the truth about that. But they had their creatures. They didn't want to expand that much, I guess. But Uh, and apparently, the episode received its own special article in Weekly World News. And the article actually explained one thing that goes unmentioned in the episode, and that's that the stakes used to kill a trickster must be dipped in the blood of one of its own victims. So that's what's on the stakes.
Ah.
And the whole flashbacks through the whole episode thing is actually it's a take on a 1950 movie called Rashomon, in which four people tell mutually contradictory versions of events shown in flashback, and the final account is assumed to be the truth. And they
I've
did the
never
same thing
seen
in it.
that. I've
Me
seen
either,
it in a lot of other shows. Like they've done it
but
over the years.
but X Files did an episode called Bad Blood, on which John Chabon, who wrote the episode, was a co-producer of.
Okay.
And uh, a Purple Nurple, which is brought up in the episode, is actually it's a real drink. For those who don't know, it's coconut rum, triple sec, blue Curaçao, and cranberry juice.
Or a titty twister.
Yeah, and as you call them, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre man that Sam fights in the auditorium.
Uh-huh.
It's supposed to resemble Jason Voorhees because in 2009, he ends up being in the remake of Friday the 13th.
Yeah, he had the flannel and the hockey mask, but he didn't he have a chainsaw? I'm pretty sure he had a
He
chainsaw in the episode.
he did, but Jason
Yeah.
uses whatever weapon. Jason uses whatever weapons he gets his hands on. He doesn't care.
Yeah. Well, either way, it's copyright. They weren't taking any of that shit. So
No, they weren't. But
I think
and
Bobby ends up killing him, right?
uh uh what the chainsaw guy?
Yeah.
No, he gets tackled and then he disappears when they finally stab the trickster.
Yeah, I thought Bobby stopped him or something. Yeah, it
No,
was a big hullabaloo at the end.
yeah, I
What do
mean,
you give it?
once they, yeah, I mean, honestly, this episode mainly because I know what's going to become eventually.
Uh-huh.
I'd easily would give this a 3.8 out of 5. It was entertaining. It wasn't amazing, but it was entertaining.
Yeah, I give it a 4. It was a great standalone episode. I think you could come not watch any episodes and be entertained on that one.
Exactly. Well, time to go to my episode, I guess, if we have
There
to.
we go.
Well, folks, I had season 2, episode 16 this week, which is titled Roadkill, and it's written by Rael Tucker and directed by Charles Beeson. And I swear to God, I watched a fucking movie that is the whole storyline of this fucking episode. But I can't remember what it's called at this moment now. I feel like digging through my letterbox trying to find it. But the episode opens with a married couple, Molly and David, driving down a dark road. And actually the woman who plays Molly was is famous for being on other shows, but she was especially famous for being on Lucifer as Lucifer's mother, aka God's wife. So interesting fact there. But the episode starts off with Molly and David driving down a dark, deserted highway late at night in winter. There's snow everywhere, and they're lost. They've been on this road for over an hour, and they haven't seen a single car. David's looking at a map, insisting they're not lost and that they're on Highway 99. A few seconds later, they pass a sign that reads Highway 41. Because, men can't ask for directions, and I love that they touch on that in this. But David corrects himself by saying that they're taking the scenic route. But Molly doesn't want to spend their anniversary in a car, and David starts joking around, trying to make her be less angry. But he calls her to take her eyes off the road, and he sees something in the road and screams, and she immediately jerks the brakes and She sees a man standing near the road, causing her to drive off the highway, down a hill, and into a tree. She awakens in her car without a scratch, but feeling disoriented. Her husband's nowhere to be found. She calls his name multiple times, can't find him. She walks through the woods, still trying to find him, and she comes across a cabin with a lit candle in the window and enters through the front door. When she walks in, she sees the man from the road, standing in the corner with his back turned to her. She keeps asking him, like, "Did I hurt? Are you hurt? Did I hurt you? Can I do anything to help?" He turns around and he has a gruesome stomach wound, and his face then transforms into that of a decaying corpse as blood starts pouring out of his mouth. And she runs out of the cabin in terror. She runs through the woods and towards the road, and she sees the headlights of a car and darts out in front of it, screaming for it to stop. It's the Impala with Sam and Dean jerks the car to a stop. They hop out of the boys. Both of them hop out of the car, and Molly explains that she ran off the road and crashed the car. And when she came to, her husband was missing, and blah blah, everything we already know. They asked her to come with them so they can get her somewhere safe, but she doesn't want to go. She wants to look for her husband still, so she asks them to take her back to her car. When they get back to the site where they crashed, she can't find her car's out there. She doesn't understand what happened, and she walks down the hill. Sam tells Dean they need to get her out of there because the man could show up any minute. Dean says that if they tell her the truth, she'll take off running in the other direction. They do eventually convince her to come with them after a lot of back and forth. This episode's a lot of talking.
Yeah.
And she gets in the car and starts riding down the road with them. She tells them that her and her husband were supposed to be in Lake Tahoe for their 5-year anniversary. And all of a sudden, I didn't say that in the first part, but in the first part, when they were getting close to almost hitting the man, the radio started all of a sudden playing Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin, which they had to pay a lot of money for that song, I'm pretty sure. But
yeah, there was what they couldn't use Pink Floyd or something 10 episodes ago because it was too much.
I mean,
I
I don't know.
remember
I don't know.
reading about that. Uh-oh.
Music starts playing again, Stairway to Heaven, and she recognizes it, and she's like, "That song was playing when we crashed the car." And you can hear a voice in the radio in a very low tone saying, "She's mine." Dean sees a man standing in the road in front of his car. He speeds up the car, aiming to hit the man, but as it collides with him, he vanishes in a cloud of black dust. They look back, there's nothing in the road, and a few seconds later, they halt along the side of the road as the car dies, because, that always happens. And they get out of the car, open the trunk, and after she sees their trunk full of weapons, she gets scared and starts walking off. Dean yells to her that it wasn't a coincidence that they were out there. He says they're tracking down this man they saw on the road, who they believe is Jonah Greeley. He died 15 years ago on this road. Every year on the anniversary of his death, he haunts the road, and the boys are out to stop him. So she takes the boys back to the cabin where she saw Greeley, and Dean realizes it must be his hunting cabin due to the tables of dried blood, as well as all the meat hooks hanging from the ceiling and numerous knives hanging on the wall. I mean, I'm telling you, this man's hunting cabin is like Scott's dream, but I'm pretty sure.
The blood looked new. I thought there were quite a few fuck ups on this one.
There probably is, but I mean, how far ahead of time do you expect them to get there to put the blood on the thing to make it look old? Like, you think they play these episodes like out for recording like months in advance?
Well, I mean, they could have used the darker red. It was like still glistening. I don't know.
But
it kind of looked like you were walking into another Texas Chainsaw type episode.
kind of, but they look around and they try to find his body so they can salt and burn it. However, Sam says when he died, his wife claimed the body, and that was the last day we ever saw of her. Most likely, she brought it back to their house to bury, but their property is 1,000 acres and it could be anywhere. And Dean says, "Well, we only have till sunrise to finish this job, so let's get searching." They look all around the hunting cabin, and eventually they find a brick path that leads to his actual house, which there's no headstones outside of. So,
which I thought was weird too. Like, why do you have a hunting cabin and a walkway from your house? Like, what?
Well,
hunting cabin.
if you live on 1,000 acres of fucking woods, why would you not have a hunting cabin close to your house so you can just go and butcher the animals there and not attract animals to your house?
What you want the cabin out where you're away from your house, where the animals will be.
Well,
Like it's
when you live,
different having a processing shed or something,
I mean,
and that's probably what it was.
if you have 1,000 acres, I don't think you have to worry about having animals in your property. There are going to be animals in your property, but I mean,
Uh,
I own, I think, what is it? What's our property? 3 acre. I own 3 acres of property, and it's I don't even know how far out it goes in my backyard into the woods. Like I never actually like went out and like looked at the blueprints or anything and tried to follow like where it goes to. I mean, I've been back there,
really?
but I don't know where I don't know like where it ends or anything. Like it's all according to my neighbor, it's all like right mixed in the woods. But I don't know. I mean, 1,000 acres would be fucking huge. Like that much property would be insane.
It'd be awesome.
I mean, start a cult,
Do you have a pond
but
in your backyard?
it's not a pond. It's all swampy though, and in the summer it gets nasty.
Ah,
Mosquitoes abundant, but and ticks abundant. But anyway, back to the episode. Sam goes upstairs with Molly to check the upstairs of the house to search for any papers or records showing where Greeley's buried. One the room holds every piece of mail and receipt they ever had, and Molly picks up a photo album containing pictures of him and his wife, and she asks Sam how such people can turn so evil, and he tries to explain to her that there's usually some unfinished business keeping them here, along the lines of revenge, love, or hate, and that there's a part of them they just can't let go, and that's why spirits turn evil when they die, even if they're good people in life. Dean walks in and says that there's nothing downstairs, giving any leads. They pull the dresser out from the wall, and Dean notices a small door leading to the attic, which is locked from the inside. Dean, having to kick the door twice because he underestimates the door, breaks it open with his foot. They find the remains of Gridley's wife, who apparently hung herself. And Molly says it's probably because she didn't want to live without her husband. They carry the body downstairs and bury her remains beside the front step because they feel she deserves to be put to rest with a proper burial.
see, that was
And
another flaw with the story, though. Is like they've already bitched at Molly that they have one night to do this. Like, why not bury the body the following day or something? Like, I mean, you
yeah,
wasted 3 hours right there.
it did make sense, but they also had nowhere. They had no leads at that point. So what the hell else are they gonna do? But but Molly's curious and asks them what happens to spirits after they put to rest. They tell her they really don't know what happens, but they hope they go somewhere better. They go back in the house, and Molly's in the kitchen looking through the photos in the album. And Sam tells Dean they should have told Molly the truth about David. Dean objects, saying that he feels sorry for her too, but they need to stick to the plan and get her out, and then they'll tell her. Suddenly, they hear Stairway to Heaven start playing again in the house from the jukebox, which Dean finds once he takes a sheet off it, and he pulls the plug up, and it's unplugged. So obviously, some spooky shit going on. And she starts screaming as Greeley smashes the window open and grabs her out of the house. Uh, as fast as the two of them run outside, both Greeley and Molly disappeared. And in the house, they search for any leads on the whereabouts of Greeley's body. Sam looks at one of the photos in the album that was taken outside the hunting cabin on February 6, 1992, about 2 weeks before the accident. However, he notices there's a tree missing from the picture. And Sam suddenly realizes that they must have buried Greeley underneath the tree because it's an old country custom to plant trees as a grave marker. And meanwhile, we flash over to the hunting cabin where he has Molly bound with her hands above her head using chains, and he tells her that Molly tells Greeley that she knows his wife and that hurting her won't bring her back. To which he replies, his wife's gone and hurting Molly is all he has left. You got like a man with goals.
Huh.
And he starts using his claw-like fingernails to cut her chest and belly. And of course, the boys arrive just in the nick of time. And Sam stays outside to dig up Greeley's body while Dean goes inside to try to rescue her. He fires a round of rock salt at him, causing him to vanish. He quickly reappears behind him, and as Dean turns around, Greeley uses his telekinesis to throw Dean against the wall. And as Grilly force grabs a knife from the wall and starts trying to attack Dean again, which you gotta love how they fucking do like a force grab with a knife. He like just puts his hands out and then it flies into his hand. I'm like,
Yeah.
what do you think you are? Obi-Wan? I'm like, what do you think you are? Obi-Wan Kenobi? Jesus.
And then can't stab Dean because he's holding it back,
Chewie,
you know.
yeah. And we flashed outside the cabin where Sam has dug up the remains and he starts to salt and burn them. And we go back into the haunted cabin and Greeley's ghost is starting to engulf in flames before eventually vanishing for good. Sam, Dean, and Molly head up back to the road to the Impala, and Molly asks what happened to David. Sam tells her that David is alive and that they'll take her to see him. So,
Dun, dun,
in a
dun!
very non-supernatural type of scene, they drive Molly up to a house that she doesn't recognize. She gets out and goes up to the door, but she looks through the window and sees David kissing another woman, which is when the boys finally tell her that that's David's wife, and that 15 years ago, Molly and David accidentally hit and killed Jonah Greeley with their car before crashing into a tree. Molly was killed and David survived. And every year on the anniversary of his death, Jonah Greeley just punished someone for what happened to him. That someone is always Molly. She's been appearing on that road every year on the anniversary of her death, and it shows a lot of flashback scenes. And the first scene goes back to the Impala before they run to Molly, where Sam and Dean are discussing the case, and Sam explains there have been 12 accidents over the last 15 years. 5 of them fatal, all happening the same night. Witnesses saying the same thing made them crash, a woman appearing in the road being chased by a man covered in blood. The next flashback shows Sam and Dean at the library looking up the news articles about the accident. And the third flashback shows them talking with David revealing that Molly's body was cremated. And the final scene shows the Impala right before Molly jumps out in front of them. And this is when Molly finally puts it all together and realizes she's dead and in spirit form. She's completely shocked to hear the truth. She still thinks she needs to go talk to David, but Sam and Dean tell her that if she wants to go inside, they're not going to stop her, but they warn her that she's going to freak him right out for life. Their exact words. And they feel that if she lets go of everything that's happened, she'll move on to a better place. And as much as she wants to see David, she understands they're right, and she lets go. And she walks off into the sunrise and vanishes in the light, and are very touched by an angel moment.
No shit.
And as they head back to the Impala, they look back at the sunrise and they say they hope she's going to a better place. And this is literally one of the most boring episodes of Supernatural I've ever seen.
Another problem is like, how did she stay a static ghost throughout the whole thing, right? Like, I don't think we see that in any other episode. And when she's tied up, she's not like, freaking out and making shit move, and like, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's because she doesn't believe she's dead. I think if they don't believe they're dead, like they can actually have a lot of power. They just realize it.
And then,
they think they're still alive.
Like, Greeley doesn't attack anyone other than Molly. So, like, I get that there were car accidents, but why the hell is Sam and Dean investigating this?
Because there's been car accidents in the same spot for 14 years in a row in the same night. So that's right up their alley.
Maybe a sign could have sufficed.
But, yeah, well, I know. But at the end of the episode, Dean tells Sam, all right, Haley Joel, let's hit the road, which, is a nice Sixth Sense reference there. And after Sam tells Molly that ghosts weren't evil people when they're alive, Dean says, Sam is always getting a little J. Love Hewitt when it comes to things like this. Who, J. Love Hewitt played a woman who could talk to ghosts in Ghost Whisperer.
Yeah, my wife used to watch that.
Yeah. And I thought it was funny when they find the house and they find the brick road, and Dean's like, hey, follow the creepy brick road.
Yeah.
I thought that was nice, but
I don't know how to feel about this episode, because I don't know. I think there were just too many fuck-ups. Too much unexplained. It was a good plot line, I guess. They stole from other shit, but
And it's funny because she asked them in the episode, like, "Are you guys the Ghostbusters?" And he said, and Dean's like, "Yeah, mine's the jumpsuits." But other than that, I mean, this episode overall, I would easily give a 2.5 out of 5 if it wasn't entertaining.
I'd give it a solid 3. It's definitely not as bad as Bugs. Still like watching
Oh,
it once and you're over it.
all right, it wasn't as bad as Bugs, but I mean, there's a movie I watched that's basically like the same thing. It's basically like the same storyline. It came out like around the same time. I don't know which copied off which, but someone copied off something.
Yeah.
That's all I know. I forget what it's called, but well, folks, I guess that's what I do for Paranormal Primetime. Paranormal Primetime this week. We'll be back next week with 2 more episodes. And I know one of them's gonna be better than these 2, so we'll see what happens. And look at Scott's puppy. But
Gotta go for a walk now.
yeah, I gotta go take a walk with mine too. But all right, folks, we will see you next week. Have a good one.
Have a good week, everybody.